Hello, everybody. I'm alive. Sorry, I've been gone for 2 days. I had to do adulting. But we are back. And we're back with my favorite thing that we do. Friendly Anime Roundup. I'm really excited and nervous because this is a first in Friendly Anime Roundup in that we don't have Queen Beatrix or Marl Dog with us. They are with us in spirit in many ways. In fact, you'll see in just a sec. Today, we're going to be with a fresh panel of friendly faces. Hopefully, all goes well. I'm really excited, and today should be pretty easy. I'm just nervous because we gotta flow, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's do this. Alright, let me bring out the illustrious panelists. Shubba 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 shubba. Hello, everybody! Bop, bop. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hello. Guys, welcome to Friendly Anime Roundup time. This week we're covering Hinamatsuri! Yay!
Yay.
Cool.
Amazing.
It's an anime that is pretty rare here in that it is just a cute slice of life. Also, it's an anime that's pretty recent, though I never heard about it until I saw a random clip on the internet about it, like a month ago. But yeah. Guys, initial thoughts on Hinamatsuri. Let's start with Mike.
I honestly thought it was a really cute anime. I honestly don't have anything bad to say about it, really. It was a really cool and cute anime.
Very nice. Zeal, how about you?
Yeah, I thought it was cute and fun. It's still probably something I wouldn't have just watched by myself, but I have to applaud it for sticking with its jokes and not letting its just like one-off jokes just mean nothing and then going on. I do have my gripes with it as well, but I'll save that until later.
Sweet. Yeah, I appreciate that. And Brian, Red Star Okami, how did you feel about Hinamatsuri?
Honestly, for me, I feel like it was a mixed bag. Like it had a lot of like cute moments where I went, "Aw," but then I was like, "Mm-hmm."
And?
It had me like I don't know if I should like it or like be confused.
Fair enough. Actually, I'm gonna toss in also Queen Beatrix's initial thoughts. She actually binged it and sent me an entire Google Doc about it. She is thorough. Dwarven Defender says Hinamatsuri is a truly is a show where anything can happen. Also a show with so much character development in so few episodes. That is true. Things develop. B says, I flat out love this anime. It had just enough supernatural presence to scoop out of the classic slice of life genre, but still captured the daily living and adventures of the characters extremely well. The cast is incredibly likable, the animation style is wonderful, and it's extremely funny as well as poignant. It had a lovely little story that leaves some room for explanation without feeling necessary to enjoy the journey. One is left craving salmon roe or ikura, and hoping for the best life ahead for all the characters involved. Very well said, Text B. Personally, I also really enjoy the anime. This is one of few slice of lives that I've really delved into, and I was kind of happy that it was this one. I think the only other thing that we covered that was moderately slice of life was Himoto Umaru-chan, which is it was all right. It was good.
Yeah, not the same.
Yeah. But yeah, I did enjoy the kind of groundedness of it too. I thought it was really well captivated in its like little niche like version of their world with where weird supernatural telekinesis is a thing. The show was made by a studio I've never heard about, Studio Feel, and
Yes.
let me tell you, I looked up the rest of their animes, and it's a mixed bag of a lot of things going on. Mostly anime you've never heard about, but also some of their title cards look sussy. So I was very surprised that this anime was as wholesome as it was.
Animation-wise, this is by far their best work.
Oh yeah, have you seen any other
I've-
studio?
I looked up some of their stuff, and yeah, this one's the best one they've made.
Yeah. Oh my god. I was whew, after looking into that I was like, well, we got a pretty good break. The show takes place in a weird world where everything is pretty normal until a random child appears to a Yakuza soldier boss guy and basically has to just live her life there. It's kind of a hard concept to push, but I mean, I thought it worked out pretty well. I think they really started it off pretty strong with the the opening, which threw me for a curveball, which was actually the clip that I saw on the internet. I was like, whoa, this looks cool. Like the very first scene. I'll play it in just a sec too. But the the anime is let's just say niche in its slice of lifiness, not traditional, right? There was a lot of things covered in the show, and it's only 12 episodes, so before we really delve too far into it, we're just gonna make sure you guys are aware. There we go. Spoiler warning, everybody. It's a 12-episode show, so you can't really not talk about spoilers. Thank you, Crunchyroll, for your end card. Yes, spoilers. This anime has a lot of stuff that it's dealing with. I was actually surprised on some of the more kind of like down-to-earth concepts it had. So for everyone that hasn't seen, I gave a basic gist, but on top of everybody that I've mentioned, there's a few other characters in the anime that also kind of like time travel from some weird future and like come to this reality to basically just end up getting stuck here and then doing nothing with it. But it's cute. Some of these characters entail. I am only going to focus on the focal characters because obviously it has a lot of like one episode Andes, but like some that like are just kind of tertiary. So Shiba. The main character of the anime is the titular Hina, who is a gremlin. How did you guys enjoy Hina as a character? Brian?
Honestly, I actually kind of liked her, like, learning new stuff as she went along, meeting new people and stuff.
Nice.
She, I don't know what it was about the way that she spoke, where it just sounded like everything was so uninteresting to her. Even though she was happy, and sometimes when like the sad music would play, and she would be like, "Oh, I miss Nita." I'm like, you don't sound like it. Like, I don't I guess that's just her voice, but like,
Yeah, her voice acting was like super. I think that was probably the best thing about her character is just how completely
soulless.
uninvested she is in anything besides
Yeah.
food.
and just slacking off. Yeah.
Hmm. In a very I'm sorry, Himoto Umaru-chan kind of way, except um slightly less problematic uh in her own way. Uh Zeal, did you enjoy Hina as a character?
I was very neutral on her. I didn't find anything to like get attached to or anything like that. Just as kind of there, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Solid. Mike, how about you? How did you like Hina as a main character?
I liked her. She's she kind of like reminds me of like myself when I want to be like lazy, you know, because like when I'm
Yeah.
lazy, I'm always hungry, and like, you know, I just really loved her attitude towards things, and like how she's like always sleeping. She's either sleeping or she's hungry. So I'm like, oh cool, that's me. I'm either always sleeping or I'm hungry. So you know. So yeah, I really liked her
Can
as
relate.
a main character, whatnot.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Hina's an interesting character to me, and like Dwarven Defender says, she's all the worst parts of Umaru-chan, but instead of being only a garbage person indoors, Hina is a garbage person all the time. And yes, quote, Hina is a poop generator with psychic powers. Uh, she is actually flanked by an incredibly well-written character, IMO, in Nito-san, who is probably the backbone of the entire series. Oh, before I forget, also on Hina, B has words too. B says, Hina's an outstanding weirdo of a main character. Thoroughly enjoyed her deadpan take on the world and constant prioritization of food above all else. Uh, quote, would you please take me with you to the gentleman's club?
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah, they called it a girly club in Japanese, and I thought that was
Yeah.
actually funnier. I was like, girly club, girly club. Yes. Anyway, Nita, uh, which I think B has, it also placed pretty well in that she says, has a surprising realness to him that really grounds the series level-headed, but definitely not emotionless, and found him to be written really well, and liked his view of the Yakuza through his lens. Which was, yeah, the Yakuza part really, like, you get grazed over actually in like the first 3 episodes or so, and then it's like, yep, that's not a thing really. Yes, Yakuza's family, Nita's Yakuza family says do no harm, I believe, which is a really interesting motto. Brian, you probably have some insights on Yakuza-like characters. How did you like Nita?
Honestly, I love them. He is the best part of the show. He literally has the patience of a turtle. Like this man carries the show. I thought he was extremely well written. His what's the word? Like his panic attacks whenever something bad would happen, I thought were actually really hilarious. His devotion, like all of a sudden about taking care of children, I thought was really sweet. I actually really liked, because like I personally like everything having to do with the Yakuza. So like I have somewhat of a bias towards a character like him.
Mm-hmm.
But like I felt like the execution of he belongs to like a criminal organization kind of thing, but he's a really nice guy. I thought it was really well executed.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Zeal, any insights on Nita?
Yeah, I like how he was written, and I liked his arc because watching him go from this pretty selfish person that is very reluctant to even call Hina his daughter, to then at the end just doing anything that he can for her is just really nice. And he's definitely one of the characters that got the most character development throughout the show, and it was just it was really good to see his journey.
Yeah, Dwarven Defender, well put. He starts off cold and quickly begins to resonate maximum dad energy, as many fictional, unwilling, sudden fathers do become. Uh, but yeah, Mike, how about you? How did you feel about Nita?
I really loved him. He was such a fantastic character. I loved how he basically, as Zeal and Brandon were saying, that he basically went from being a yakuza to being more towards that father type side for Hina, because it's like, oh, I'm not your father by choice, but I'll still take care of you, still feed you, and make sure that you're okay. And it just, I love like his reactions towards Hina, where Hina just breaks everything and he just has to pay for literally everything. That just basically show you how rich he actually is, because he just has all these expensive items and everything, and she just keeps breaking them. And just the amount of love that he shows for her is like really sentimental, towards this character. And yeah, he's definitely, I agree with Brian, he's definitely carried the show. He's one of the probably the best characters in the show.
Yeah, solid. No, I definitely feel like Nita, like Nita and Hina gave me very serious, like, Joel Ellie vibes with their relationship, and that he didn't. Oh, do you have a hand raised?
Yes. I would like to point out that I thought one of his weakest moments was the celebration when Hina was supposed to leave. Uh, I
That
found it
was
to be
great.
I actually found it to be hilarious, but like I felt like really you have like these flashbacks of all the great times that you had with this character, and suddenly like he's gone.
She's gone forever. To be
Bye-bye.
fair, to be fair, Nita was kind of held hostage, as we didn't really elaborate, but Hina is a psychic monster from the future that can destroy you with her brain. And she held him hostage for the first couple episodes. So sue him if he feels like he was finally not under the gun, in a theoretical sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to talk about the actual main character of the show, Anzu, who is
Yep.
way better of a character than
100%.
Yeah.
uh then yeah, Dwarven Defender actually told me that in a previous stream. He said, I finished watching Matsuri because it really is
Mhm.
a way better developed show with Anzu, and I think it's like no better like pointed out than like the 11th episode, where like Nita and Anzu like spend time with each other, and they're like, this is what a normal healthy relationship with a daughter is like. Holy crap. I thought that was actually funny. Brian, how'd you feel about Anzu?
I honestly agree that she feels like the main character. I think there was like one episode, I can't remember the number, where like it was mainly just focused on her, and then Hina and Nita were like back on the screen for like what, 5 minutes or something. Like I really liked her character arc. She just out of nowhere is like, oh, I'm such a meanie, and then it's just so adorable. Like by the end of it, like you were like, was this the same character from the first few episodes? Like, I felt like her development was really crazy, and like, I think the show should have been called Ansu Matsuri.
Matsuri.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, truly. Zeal, how about you?
Yeah, she's definitely my favorite character of the show. Just the the journey she goes on is insane. Because when she first got onto the show, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like this character whatsoever. But slowly she became my favorite. The only issue I have is I feel like she went from her old personality to her new personality fairly quickly. I would like to have seen maybe an extra episode or two of like her struggling between it, but besides that, very well written character.
Yeah, I can see that too. There's a weird thing in the series where there's a bunch of time skips where like weeks will go by because like there's a I think an episode where they were talking about her where it literally is like it just says like that was a few weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, I thought that was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, okay, no, she's been out there struggling for a bit, but yeah, I think which by the way comes in really hot. I do love the way she started out and being like this is Tokyo Revengers, but just really cute and awesome. I thought that was crazy. Mike, how did you like Gunzu?
I liked her a lot. She was a very her character at first was very, I want to say assertive, because she just in the first episode that she was in, she just wanted to fight Hina. It's like, I gotta fight you, I gotta see who's strongest. And then she went from that to basically from a semi-tough girl, from being homeless and all that stuff. And I still love the scene where her and Nita were spending time together, because she was super excited, so happy. She's like, oh my god, this is what a father feels like. Like, this is what a family feels like. This is like amazing. I kind of don't want to go back.
Yeah,
but yeah, she's a fantastic character. I love her.
Yeah. No, I think she's probably. Oh wait, what? Top comment on episode 8. It's nice to see a background character like Hina get more character development and screen time. Hinamatsuri really is a wonderful show. It did feel like that. No, I was gonna say, Anzu actually also provides probably the best story arc in like the whole series, which like how they get it done in 12 episodes is crazy, but like she goes from Terminator from the future here to destroy the other strange war machine creature child, turns into a homeless child adopted by a bunch of grandpas who taught her how to live off the street. And it was very wholesome. I thought that was incredibly poignant in the way that it played out, and I think very like real. They didn't really pull punches about like how hard it is to like struggle and when you're transient or displaced. B actually wrote a question for the group, but first I'll also mention B's take on Anzu, who says she's a great counterbalance to Hina, who lives a life of luxury while Anzu struggles to survive on the other side of the tracks. She's the minimalist accomplice to Hina's indulgent life. Anzu recognizes the value of money and hard work. I enjoyed their Made You Look battle a lot, which you saw a couple clips of. That was pretty funny. But also wondered why Anzu didn't use her powers while homeless, after the risk of Hina finding out she was there was no longer a threat. She also said, maybe you guys have some thoughts on this. I think it was more fitting in, personally. The same way Hina did, like, just to like not stand out and be a problem. But did anyone else have an idea why you think Anzu didn't aid herself with the ability of her powers?
I'm not sure, because like we look at, I can't remember her name, but near the end of
Mao.
the series, yeah, we look at Mao and like how she handled things, and I was like, whoa, that's that's what you can do when you have these powers. You can actually live. So I don't know. It is interesting, but they are secluded, so
Yeah,
not too
it's
sure.
tricky.
Honestly, I think I don't know why. Like it gives me a feeling that like if she were to be another one of the characters who uses her powers, I don't think we would have gotten the same type of character or development either, because it would have been more of the like without the life lessons. Like, oh, maybe I'll just use my powers to steal stuff, right? Or something, or go against her own values that were taught to her by the homeless people.
Yeah.
Use her powers. So I feel like her not using her powers was actually way better for her character.
Yeah, and I think it was true that like Yasan and the other homeless grandpas were like kind of instilling a very honest way of living. Um, they definitely were the type of people that, though they were in a tough situation, found it best to live by the book and go about doing honest work. And I think she picked up on that pretty early on, which was nice. In fact, B has a question for the group about this too. She says, "How did you guys feel about the portrayal of homelessness and socioeconomic inequality, which words, throughout the series? Did it speak to you guys on a personal level in any way?"
Um, I felt like it was done fairly well. You don't see it that often uh, in anime, so it's nice to just see a light shed on it just in general. Um, and knowing people who have been homeless before, that's a lot of this can definitely relate to their experiences for sure. I mean, obviously, this still keeps it a bit lighthearted, but it definitely opens up the floor for conversation, which I like.
Yeah. Mike, how about you? Did you have any like uh, views on how they portray the homelessness in the show?
I mean, I think they portrayed it pretty well. Um, it definitely shows that with the homelessness, it definitely showed that, one homeless person can care for another. Doesn't matter really who you are. And, it basically shows that, like, not all homeless people are bad or crazy or whatever, just shows that, that a lot of people, even though they're homeless, they're still people. They still care.
Yeah, I think they did that rather well too. Ryan?
I thought it was a great way to not only incorporate like a plot point for Anzu, but it was also like a very nice little message of like being better, being nice to others. Most of the time equals them being nice to you in return. So I thought it was a really cool thing to like use that for Anzu's character development, and in general, because you don't see that being done a lot in anime.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid grounding source, I think, when you have to deal with such a very real concept. And it almost kind of made you feel for her many times, where like she always thought like, you know, like a pocket change was just like this insane amount of money, and like you can buy so much like cup noodle for it or something. um, and it really shows like that disparity, which I think is a huge kind of place of uh, kind of significance in the show, is that like people can lead such different lives so close to each other. My question, actually, while we're on Zoo 2, is what do you guys think the show would have been like if the roles were reversed and Anzu appeared to Nita and Hina ended up on the street?
Mm, Hina either would not survive or would destroy everything. Um, and I think Anzu probably would have stayed. Probably quite bratty, especially if she's being taken care of by this, like where her character was, and then just getting everything she would want from Nita. I think she probably would have stayed pretty much the same.
Yeah. Brian?
Honestly, I think it would have turned from a slice of life to an action anime, because like they always kept talking about how like if we don't feed Hina, she's just gonna destroy everything. Like they even show like a little moment where it was like her full power or something. When she wasn't fed. So I feel like the roles being reversed would mean that the anime would be way different. It would be
Ye-
just become another action anime, Mob Psycho style, you know.
Fair enough. A future anime roundup possibly too. Uh, yeah. Mike, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I think that if the roles were reversed, um, Hina would probably die, end up dying, or just kind of like I want to say lose control, more just like nobody would tell her that she shouldn't be using her powers to do all these things. So then nobody would have to like she would just destroy everything to get her way. And then, you know, as Brian and Zeal was saying, you know, it's just more of a Anzu would be like more kind of like a bratty type in a way, because she would be like, okay, I'm having all these things handed to me, so you know I don't have to use my powers. And she would probably be the type of girl like if she doesn't get her way, she's going to use her powers to get her way, saying like, if you don't do this, I'm going to use my powers to break your neck, you know.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think their experiences, the way things played out in the show, really kind of molded them into better people. I mean, Hina slightly less. She comes around very gently, but at least Anzu has a very humbling experience. Also, Dorm Defender does have words on the homelessness. He says apparently it's a massive problem in Japan because of the barriers of getting an apartment. I heard that you not only have to have money to get an apartment, but also a stable source of income.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the struggle in many different countries and different like socioeconomic structures. It's just like there's a lot of barriers for people once they're at that place to really get anywhere, which is very difficult. But it's a good thing that the show shed light on it.
Speaking of homeless people in the show, I thought they were going on a completely different direction when Nita, or I think it was Nita or one of the Yakuza members was like, contact the homeless so you can find this girl. I was actually very interested because I was like, are you gonna do like the the homeless people are actually like working for the Yakuza or something? I thought the Yakuza plot was actually gonna get like way more than I thought it would have, but it was just that they wanted the homeless people to help search.
Yeah, I think much in like the fashion of like the Yakuza games, where the homeless were used for like minor tasks but not really generally affiliated. It gave them money. I don't know, the plots of those games more than I do, I guess. But yeah, we have one more character to talk about. Let's move on. Hitomi, who is just the wholesome
Child labor.
Child labor indeed. It doesn't exist in this show. Nobody questions it, and people will do mental gymnastics, sometimes literal gymnastics, to avoid the reality of this is a child who is more or less unwilling to be in this lifestyle. Thanks to her compatriot, Otako-san, who is a terrible person.
Horrible.
But how did you guys feel about our barkeep ladies?
Honestly, I really liked Hitomi. I thought she was like very wholesome, like you said. She just had a lot of stuff like happening all at once. Like I feel like the part of the stress of being an adult she has already experienced by now. And like um, Taco, she's just weird, man. Like she was ready to blackmail this poor child if she didn't work for her, and and Hitomi in response recorded a very suspicious looking out of context voice audio. But like honestly, I like both of them. I thought they were actually really good for like comedic purposes. Uh, they gave some great moments like the constant like shocking moments where the animation the budget went up by like a million. Uh,
Yeah.
and like I honestly like both of them. They add a lot without needing screen time, a lot of screen time.
Well said. Zeal.
Yeah, I like them both as well, even though I can't think of the older lady's name. She horrible person, but yeah, with Hitomi, she is so relatable, um, especially when we get to like her episode later on down the line when you're trying to juggle school and like all this other work and I don't know, she's just very relatable to me, even though she is like a middle schooler being a bartender, which is very interesting. But she provided some very, very funny moments throughout the show, and I think she's another one of my top characters as well.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about our two bar ladies, Mike?
Um, I definitely liked both of them. I liked how Himo went, from basically this straight A student, to being a middle school bartender at night, and like her just her teacher and like all these other guys just coming in. They're like, hey, I don't care if you're, to us, you're not a middle schooler, so we're gonna say you're not a middle schooler. You just look like that. But you know, for her to go from like a straight A student to this really nervous looking bartender who just somehow knows how to make all these drinks without any training at all, and it's great. And I forgot what the other one's name was.
Otaku.
Yeah, Otaku. um I love how she's like kind of like a mentor to her, but at the same time she blackmails her. She's like, if you don't do this, this is gonna happen. But then people find out more later that it doesn't matter if you blackmail her because people already know. And it's pretty cool how she you know went from living with her mom to having her own place and having all these job opportunities offered to her from these huge major companies. And her mom's just like, her mom went from a caring, loving mother to like, you gotta go make that money.
You go make that
Like,
money, girl.
Yeah, like you gotta go make that money. You're getting offered all these jobs with like probably millions of dollars, and you just, yeah, I'm gonna just step away as a mother and let you do your own thing.
My bank account is filling up scarily fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, when
truly.
Onzu came and was like, I have 5,000 yen, she's like, that's it?
She's like,
Just-
yes.
And
She like how she was like, I think I make more than that in an hour working.
yeah.
Which big oof. Yeah, no, B says also she loved Hitomi seeing the nice young friend swept up into attending a bar and dealing with adult living. She thought it was kind of a reminder of how society sets us up to grind our way through life, and there's no reason to start early and miss out on your childhood. She said she is sweet and thoughtful and is a nice balance to Hina's self-centeredness, which I think they all kind of helped rein her in a bit in their own way too. But yeah, Hitomi is a great character, I think, in that she's just good. Just good. Utako, I can give a pass because she's clearly affiliated with the Yakuza. So like she's down to get a little messy. but uh yeah, she got what it takes. Last character that I want to talk about because she seemingly serves no purpose. Uh uh she's there to hook me into the anime because she's literally the first scene in the anime, and then she does nothing for the whole show. But set up a possible season 2? Question mark. Um
Which sucks because she's, in my opinion, another really alluring part of the series. Just like when I first saw that first part of the first episode, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what happens. And then we don't see her until like way in the end. And then her entire bit, I found really enjoyable. Again, she does nothing for the plot really, but if they get a season 2, I really want to see more of her character.
yeah, there's definitely some teasing there too with like the way she met with the guy, and he's like, "I'll take you to Hina," and I
Mhm.
was getting really excited to see like, oh, this is 3 years later. I want to see what
Yeah,
happens and how Hina has
exactly.
definitely not ruined the world in 3 years. Uh, but yeah, we don't get to see that unfortunately. Brian, you look
Yeah.
like you have something to say.
I about this character, I feel like her pacing could have been done way better because, at least in my personal experience, it was like saw the first episode, saw the fight scene, and was like, wow, this is you already have me like fully immersed, and then she's gone. She's gone for like the following 6 or 7 episodes. Comes back. I had no idea that the girl on the island was actually her. Like I actually had forgotten about her entirely
Yup.
until the part with the island. I was like, who is this? Why should I care? Like and then by the end of it, it was like, oh, she's the girl on the island, right? See, and like you guys said, it's like setting up something that looks to be very promising, and then it's just like, oh yeah, just in case this is the final episode for now, so you won't get to see much anymore. Enjoy what you got.
Yeah. Oh well. Uh, she's just a promise for the future in some way. Um, Also weird that uh, there's always like kawaii anime girls in slice of life animes. They always do come in threes, so
Yeah.
it do be like that. Mike, did you have any feels on Mao as a character?
Um, I like her introduction. Um, I kind of didn't like I kind of didn't like how they didn't show her too much, because it's like she could have been this like really great character. She's looking for Hina and Anzu. You know, she even made little dolls of them to like make, to basically counteract her going crazy on the island, and like her just keeping the dolls with her. And yeah, it definitely kind of like showed off maybe a season 2, but it's been a good couple years, so I don't think they're gonna go with the season 2. But that was like one reason what I didn't like about her character being introduced is they basically spoiled in a possibility for season 2, but then at the same time it wasn't. So
Well, I did hear the show might be in development for season 2, though. I mean, Attack on Titan had a 4-year hiatus, so there's
yeah,
there's no
and Hunter x Hunter has like what, like
we don't
6
talk
or
about Hunter
7
x
year-
Hunter. You know,
that one had a real big hiatus.
I'm not holding my breath for Hunter x Hunter. But no, yeah, I think Mao is an interesting character in that she definitely serves as a hook for the series, and then it's just kind of like a bit of a tease for the future. As Dwarven Defender says, he thinks it was just like a big meta joke by the director.
Very much
Which,
so, yeah.
if it was meta joke, it is too meta for me to grasp on like what they're going for. Um, And I haven't seen K-On, so you might be right about that. So that's the primary cast. There's other characters like Yasan and some of the lower Yakuza guys, but like they're kind of like ancillary, really. I want to get into a bit of the meat and potatoes of the show. So I'll just kind of let this go. Which, come on, man, what like, where I wanted at least one more cool fight scene, but I did like how Mao, like, they're like, defeat the Robo Human Destructinator 3000, and like they just like set it up like, yeah, she'll never Shaba. I thought that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So like the show has a bunch of just like really random episodic bits, and I really liked how like they kind of took each character and gave them like their moment in the spotlight. Even the episode that I think is probably one of the more kind of undervalued is like the one where we kind of see a lot more about Nita's backstory, because I think that's for me where like the whole show kind of opens up and it feels way more like three-dimensional. At first it was kind of like this like funny haha like silly anime, and then like that really opened up a personal aspect to it that then kind of bridged the gap for everybody else to kind of show themselves a little bit more. Did you think I know Zeal, you said you had some gripes. Did you think there were some parts of the anime that seemed like they maybe like hit kind of swung a miss there, or like maybe a character that you felt, besides probably Mal, was a little underdeveloped?
I think some of the one-off people were a little shoved in at some moments of like, okay, we didn't need to see that. We could have gotten some more character development in some places, but not exactly when it comes to that. I think for the most part, the writing was fairly solid when it came to the themes they were trying to hit, and they did it pretty well.
Nice. I was just curious because you said you had like some gripes, so I'm
Okay,
like,
yeah. So the show, it plays off expectation a lot. It really messes with what you expect from the series, and I think I just, with the opening and with the first episode, I expected something completely different than what the series turned out to be, and that's my own fault. But it's poetic in a way, because they since they mess with it so much, that they mess with my expectation, even what I thought the entire show was going to be, that it was completely different. It's good writing, but I just didn't have as much of a good time, because I was like, okay, now, but when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? It never came. That, I think that's the biggest part for me. But the flip side of that, with messing with the expectation, they're actually creating scenarios that stick, like her becoming, like Anzu becoming homeless. That was played as a gag, and then it stuck, and then it became this whole plot point. Hitomi becoming a bartender, that was a gag, but it stuck and became this whole like plot point. So I do really like that, and not a lot of shows with this style does that. They just do the joke, gloss over it, next episode, completely clean slate. So I really did like that.
well said. Yeah. No, I think there was a bit of a missed expectation on my end, but luckily I was able to self-correct, because the clip that initially turned me on to the show was this one in the GIF, and then it didn't end up being that, but I had looked it up prior, so it told me that it was a slice of life anime, so I immediately was like, okay, there's something else going on. So, but this is probably one of the ones where, like, had I gone into it entirely blind, I also would have been pretty, like, thrown off. And for a lot of the anime, I was really going like, all right, when's the time skip? When is the time skip? Like, you know, it said 3 years earlier. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be like a flashback episode or something, you know? Like, no, that's the whole series. Dwarven Defender says he really liked the lieutenant scene, which I thought was really well done, as far as some really silly Yakuza chaos, which turned a really dark thing into a comedy bit, which I thought was kind of great. Brian, look like you have something to say.
One of the problems I had was most of you was like I was caught off guard because I thought it was going to be an action anime. I had no idea it was a slice of life, and like the I kept waiting and waiting for like something intense to happen. So when the rock paper scissors thing happened between Hina and Anzu, I was like, oh, this is where the anime starts. This is where it starts. So, but then like it didn't go anywhere, and also the corporation was like the biggest problem with me because it was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep pumping out these children across a dimension or something, or across time, and it's like, are you gonna give me more information about it? Like they sent the I forgot her name because she's actually really forgettable. The girl, the woman that was looking for Hina,
Agent lady with
yeah,
a dog.
they sent her to look for her, and it was like, oh, she has to leave in 3 days, so we're gonna bring Mao, who got stranded in an island. But then it was like, there's no follow-up. That's it. Like I thought the corporation, since it was mentioned so often and like it made it seem like Hina like had to go home, that like it was so important for her to go home. I felt like that should have been like followed up, but they just threw it aside and never talked about it again.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely some parts where they like over set up and under deliver, especially when it comes to that whole side of things. Because like we get, they introduce us to all these insane superpowers, and I mean we see them a fair amount, but it's just like we don't get any explanation behind them. We don't get any explanation on what, you know, where they're from or anything about the organization. Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to seen a lot more of that.
Yeah, there was a bit of intrigue kind of missed there for sure. And I definitely was very involved invested in like this like weird like pseudo. They even made a joke about it in like the first episode. Like there's like a Terminator kind of sense to it, where it's like they're definitely sending people back in time for some reason. Like why? Like what is happening with that? And it's not really followed up, but I think if it does have a season 2, it's probably something that they should definitely address for sure. Dwarven Defender says, I also loved how the OP implied that Utako was going to be a mother figure to Hina, and then when she shows she isn't, they just yeet her out of that shot. Yes.
They do.
Yep. Did you guys like that? There was a bunch of like I watched every single opening, and they constantly were shifting the openings around just in minor ways. Like did you see like the episode where like Nita hangs out with Anzu? Like Hina's not in that in the closing at all, and he's always with Anzu and stuff. Like I just thought that was super awesome. I like those like really minor touches that the animators and the showrunners decided to throw in there.
Yeah.
With regards to like Nita being Yakuza, do you feel like they downplayed his role like kind of like midway through the series? Because it seemed like they were really getting stuff done. They even sent him to like go take out an entire enemy faction, and like they look like they were into getting their hands dirty, which is weird because of their motto. But then like the Yakuza basically just turned into really kooky uncles that like were like, yo, what's up with your kid nowadays? Like I want to hear from Brian first, because I think you probably have insight on that.
About that, about the killing the enemy gang boss or whatever. I thought it was like, again, another one of these moments where it's like, hey, it's about to go down like right now, and then all of a sudden, no, it's just a joke. There's nothing serious going on here. and like I thought it was more so like with other media where like they do like stereotypical stuff. Like for example, I thought I don't personally live in Japan or am related to the Yakuza, but I thought it felt to me stereotypical where the Nita and the others would go to the bar, drink, and they would be like hammered, and they'd be like, yeah, let's go to a cabaret club, like let's go have fun. I personally thought like they with the Yakuza thing, they made it seem like it was about to be more serious than it really was, and they just made it more into a gag than anything else. Like the Yakuza plot is just there. That's it. It's
Yeah.
just there. They're not really gonna go too deep into that because it's not this type of anime. Like if it was a crime thriller, then obviously yeah. But like I do like how they kind of poked fun at the aspect of the Yakuza in this anime.
Yeah. Also, yes. Breaking news: Hina commits genocide. Yeah, she was very willing to really do harm. In fact, I didn't know this, but apparently they have tracked the amount of times someone has said "owie" in the show. Uh, uh, which let me just get this figure here because I don't have it off the
Honestly.
top of my head.
It's whatever it is. It's a lot.
But did you find it off-putting or just befitting? Itai. How many times Nita was way too chill about just gobsmacking Hina when she rightly deserved it a couple times. Thought it was kind of random, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, it fit. He's like a crime guy. He doesn't care.
You
He's like, I never hit a child before, but I'm gonna start now.
know.
Here, let me see.
I mean, he did break her leg, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was an accident, though.
it was all in good faith. In good faith, though. Like,
That was
they were just
actually
having-
probably
they were
one of my
just having fun.
favorite scenes where like he had a real like father-daughter moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just cracks her leg across the opening. Oh my god. Here, let me get these up actually.
I also like that scene where Hina's just coming out of the little cardboard box and she's like, "Boo." He's like,
Boo.
"Oh no, you scared me. Oh no."
There we go. It is 131 times
Wow.
they said "owie." In 12 episodes, that's quite a
That's-
lot. That's
Yep.
10 per episode.
At
A
least,
little
yeah.
more. But yeah, they really racked it up when the Hina smashed like 40 Yakuza dudes through
Oh my
building.
goodness, yes.
Owie, 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 owie,
but god, that was good. Dwarven Defender says, I wish I could understand all the jokes they put on Hina's white shirt in red text. I got a few of them though. Yes, I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but there was always like some sort of like silly meta joke that she would be wearing on like a nondescript white shirt with red text. Like when she was leaving, it said like bye bye, sayonara.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch any more like subtle, nuanced bits that the animator is kind of involved in there?
Yeah, I saw it at the beginning, but then as I was getting through, I knew I was a little behind. So I was like, I don't want to take the time to every time I see a new shirt to go in and look up the translation. But I did see that some of the jokes, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, I feel like I caught it really later on. Like I think that was the section where I was like when she was like leaving, I was like, okay, the shirts have a meaning. They're not just like random nondescript things. He also says, oh, I didn't know that. When Hina pops out of the box, and it says Kashira, it means lieutenant. So
Oh, that's funny.
that's when he got his big promotion. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
know that.
Mike, I feel like we haven't heard from you in a second. Is there anything that you wish you would have seen a little more from the series, or perhaps something that you picked up on that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think that they should have definitely focused more on like Hina becoming more into Nita's family. Just like spending time with them more. I think they should have had more episodes with that, and you know, just like a few more episodes um with what's her name, the other girl.
Anzu?
Yeah, Anzu. They should have more episodes where Hina and Anzu were spending time with each other more too, because I think they only had like 1 or 2 episodes of that. It definitely would have been nice to just see, just kind of like more of the wholesome type moments too. Yeah. Also, I like that scene right there where she's just floating in the air and like Anko doesn't like even see her. Is like, wait, what? You're flying?
Yeah, like she just kind of gave up on chat. Let me answer this guy in chat. Yeah, no, I think there's a couple parts where like you just wish you would have seen a little bit more of what they gave. But actually, you brought up a really interesting point to me where Hina's acting all wacky here. Uh, did you think the whole like if I don't use my powers, I go a little haywire thing was kind of underplayed, especially like we mentioned how Anzu doesn't really use her powers beyond the beginning. Like, what's the deal?
Well,
What's going on with all that there?
I get why they did it, or why they had her have powers because of the whole like rock paper scissors battle scene. But it's almost as if if she didn't have powers, it would have been almost the exact same show. But yeah, I don't know. That is very interesting. I didn't think about that.
Well, that is true also, Dwarven Defender, that Hina is considered a weapon of mass destruction.
That's true.
And Hina's powers were also, as displayed by the rock, paper, scissors, severely greater than that of Anzu's or perhaps Mao's.
Yep.
But I was like, is Hina always using her powers to do random odd jobs, like where she cut down trees off screen? Like what? Like, I felt like, in fact, one of the situations where I found I was expecting that to be a factor was in the last episode, Hina's trapped in the snow with like her friends, and then like she's just there for like what is a couple of days. Like it seemed like at least 2 days. So like, why didn't she explode right there? I mean, she invent. I guess unless Hina had the wherewithal to go, if I don't reveal my powers now, I could blow them up. But I felt like that was kind of an underutilized little plot point. Like, were there any other situations where you guys thought like that could have maybe played like a greater factor in maybe upping some of the tension in certain scenes or whatever?
Honestly, I do feel like her going haywire without using her powers was really underplayed, because like they did the whole episode where she's like you said, like cutting trees and stacking them and stuff, and it's like after that episode it's like the threat is no longer there. Like I also thought that like in the last episode that she would actually explode, and since she was mentioning that she could fly, I was gonna think like, oh, maybe she's just gonna fly all of them away or something. But that never ended up happening. Like I like they were like setting it up somewhat,
Mm.
but then they kind of like pushed it to the side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do feel like her whole like, oh, gonna go berserk thing is like not played enough.
Agreed. And it's it's interesting that they kind of left that factor out, because I thought that was an interesting kind of point of tension throughout the series. Is like Hina's gonna be in a situation at some point where she's gonna have to hold her powers back long enough. Um, she does randomly levitate from time to time, which would be a use of her powers. That is true. Though I feel like there's several episodes where like she just doesn't use them at all, and I'm just like, I assume everything's happening off screen, as many things do in the series, which isn't a bad thing. You just have to kind of like suspend disbelief in that notion. Uh well, uh before we move on to possibly talking about our future anime, I wanted to open up to the table if there's anything else that you guys thought about the series. I know it's only 12 episodes. We can only say so much, but if there was something that you guys felt like talking about. Brian?
I have a slight nitpick. I don't know if it's personal to me, but like the final episode, around like 10 minutes, credits started rolling. I'm like, I've seen it before in other anime where like, but it stuff is still happening on the screen, but they're like displaying the credits on the sides. But I mostly see it when the episode's about to end, right? So like the credits starting to appear like 10 minutes in, I was like, it felt more like they were like, oh hey, we forgot to add something in, like put it add it
Yes.
when the credits are done, because it even said the end, but then it was like, oh, 3 years later or something.
Mao.
And I'm like, why didn't you roll the credits then?
Yeah.
Slight nitpick, I don't know, but that's my opinion personally.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. It's just like I've seen that in like other anime too, and it's like, why are you showing the credits to the end of the anime when it's like clearly you guys have added other stuff added into it, but you're just gonna show it after the credits, and it's like it kind of just like ruins it, and it's like, oh wait, the show's not over yet. Okay, never mind.
Which honestly did not come as a surprise to me, because again, like I felt like what's her name, Mao, it was like Mao is a character that like seemingly always has pacing problems in the entire show. So like also the credits, I don't know if it was playing into that or it was just pure coincidence that it had like a pacing issue.
I see why they did it to like wrap up Hina's story within the series, but I don't like it. I definitely agree. If either I would have put the 3 years later at the beginning, or I would have significantly cut down how long the 3 years later was. Because I still think, like, something at the end is totally fine, but it can't be the majority of the episode.
Yeah, it was like half the episode.
Yeah.
Which I think was what Dorn Defender was kind of talking about, like this meta joke that Mao was so far away from the series that she literally just like the series finished and she's like, oh yeah, me. Like,
Yeah.
but while we're talking about that too, did you guys feel like the ending was kind of abrupt for like Hina's side? Because it felt really just like, okay.
This is why I'm really hoping we get a second season, because as of right now, it's definitely a go watch the manga ending, where it's just like, oh yeah, that's the end. If you want to see more, go check out the manga. That's it. Because there's a lot of shows that end like that, and I'm not a big fan.
Like Soul Eater. The original ended like that, where you're like, that's weird. That's a weird point to end it at. Yeah, no. It's kind of like when we watched Claymore. I'm like,
Yeah, I was disappointed with that.
is something, what's happening here? Like, but it definitely seems like it's not outside of the realm of possibility for it to have a season 2. It's just like that feeling of, well, now you gotta wait.
Yeah.
So, that did kind of suck though. Like, I thought there was gonna be some big finale, some sort of weird song and dance number. I didn't see it outside of the anime to pull that off. Yeah. Okay. Well, gentlemen, unless anyone else at the table has anything, I'm going to announce our next anime because we have a bit of a double feature that I might have prematurely announced. So I'm gonna announce it now. So before we do so, also as in our one of our visitors just mentioned, if you guys are interested in anime or being on the panel, you can submit to the email. Do so. But our next anime is actually gonna be Death Parade and Record of Ragnarok, which I see you scowling slightly, but they were recommended and are very interested in having a couple special guests for this combination of series. I haven't seen either, and I know very little about either. Have you guys seen or heard of either of these?
I have
I've
seen and heard of those are two separate ones, right? Or
Yeah.
okay. I've seen and heard of Ragnarok. I've seen a couple episodes. So I have not heard or seen of Death Parade though.
Yeah, first for me too. I feel like I've heard it in passing, but nothing at the forefront of conversation.
I've seen all of Death Parade,
Ooh.
so I'm excited to talk about that one. And I agree with Dwarven Defender, just absolutely great with that. And I've never heard of Ragnarok, and I'm super excited to watch it.
It's a show about men fighting gods. So
Awesome.
if that's your vibe, go ahead and watch. What can I get a tiny look about that weird wince that you had earlier, Brian? What was that about?
That when Wrecker Ragnarok the anime came out, it was talked about a lot on my social media feeds, and I actually found it to be very interesting and intriguing. And so I haven't seen it yet, but now I have all the more reason to do so.
I've heard
Yes, I
mixed
do.
reviews, and I'm very excited because I like when things are kind of somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Well, guys, that'll do it for us today. Again, submit any anime you want to our email, and thank you guys for coming. I can't believe we did it. Yes. One
Ooh, I got-
episode without our usual co-hosts. You guys were so good and awesome. Thank you guys so much for participating. Look forward to a couple
Fantastic
more
anime.
with you guys in the future.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. That'll do it for us, everybody. Be safe and excellent to each other. We'll see you guys very soon. Come with us March 4th for Record of Ragnarok and Death Parade. Thank you and goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you.